Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Entrepreneur Vidcast. If you popped in just now, you would have seen that we had a little mishap, but hey, life lives, and we just roll with it.
Yep.
So we started just now, and for some reason, the internet decided to go wanky. So we're in here all over again. And life is like that, right, Molly? Life is like that. So
Sure
but we
is.
don't want to jump into all the beautiful discussions just yet. As you can see, I am not alone. I have a beautiful guest with me this morning. She goes by the name Molly Trotter Gomez. And I am excited to be sharing with Molly this morning because this woman is indeed a powerhouse woman for sure. She has been in business for a number of years, comes in with a whole lot of experience, especially where being on camera is concerned. So she's not a shy one at all, at all. For years, for roughly a decade or so, she was in front of the camera on TV. She also appeared on ESPN. So big deal for sure. She is presently the co-founder of KTC. And for some persons who know about Kingdom Alliance, you'll also recognize her face as well. And if you're new to hearing about Kingdom Alliance, you may hear a little bit more on this episode. If you are a Kingdom woman, for sure, you definitely want to know more about this organization. And matter of fact, that's how I learned about Molly. That's when I met her for the first time, because I learned about Kingdom Alliance. And based on what they were doing, I was like, yes, this is my jam for sure. I saw what the organization was up to and I fell in love. And when I say I fell in love with the mission. And so, of course, jumped on board with them and just learned a great deal. Just an amazing group of women that I got exposed to there, that I met there, and just such beautiful energy that is attached to this organization. So again, if you are a Kingdom woman and you are building an organization, you're building your own business, or you're looking to start something, this is something that you want to know more about. So again, let me introduce you and welcome Molly on the Kingdom Entrepreneur Vidcast. Molly, it's a pleasure to have you with me this morning.
Well, thank you. I am so excited to be here and I cannot wait to dive in just to see where everything goes.
Absolutely. I think a perfect place to start is just based on what we experienced just popping on this call. Yesterday, I was on the road. I went to my son's school just for a little bit. And we launched a PTA printer there, and we have a young lady working in there. And there was something I was helping her with. And I remember her saying, Miss, you've been working on it, because it was giving me a bit of challenge. And she said, Miss, you've been working on this thing for a minute. If it were me, I'd have given up by now. And I'm like, no. And she plans to go into business. And I was saying to her, if you are planning to go into business, that's not the mindset. You work on it until you figure it out. Just know we literally jumped on. We started the live, and then I saw my screen frozen. I'm like, what's happening? I recognize I lost my connection. And life is like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do when life lives? Tell us, Molly, how do you handle it?
Well, we're going to do what you did, and you're just going to be like, life is lifing right now. We're just going to brush it off. We're going to see if this internet signal comes back, and we're going to get back into it. Even though you had a roadblock, which I mean, for everybody, if the internet goes down, that is a huge roadblock for everybody because everything is on the internet. But it's one of those we were like, well, if we need to reschedule, no problem. We'll do whatever it takes because we know. And I always kind of think in the back of my mind, especially when you set up a powerful interview like this, I'm like, the enemy, of course, wants the internet to go down and does not want this conversation to get out. Maybe
Right.
that's looking a little deep, but at the end of the day, I know something special is happening here. And so we just let it roll and we do what we can, what is in our control, but we don't give up. Like you said to that lady, you don't just, if something gets hard, people will say, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. I have had enough challenges in business to be like, maybe I should plow harder through this if I'm getting a pushback.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. The common person, when they're faced with challenges and multiple challenges, they move backwards. But that's never the right approach. And like you said, one of the things I'm always saying, and I say this all the time, I have gone through enough in life to know that stuff will go wrong and to know how to deal with them. And there is even a quote that speaks to us just getting better at dealing with stuff. You will never be at a stage in your life where there is absolutely no problem. And if you're in business, that can definitely not be the case, right?
Absolutely.
There is always problems to solve. And when you're growing too, there are different hurdles, different challenges that you experience at different stages in your business. And so you just have to maneuver and you just have to deal and get better at dealing when the challenges come. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We got to talking the other day when we were starting to put this idea together about you being a guest on the show. And one of the things that we started talking about, and I think this is just so powerful, is the marketplace ministry movement. What's that? Tell me a little bit about that for those who are hearing this for the first time.
I love talking about this because if you're noticing, I was even having a conversation with somebody at the gym this morning, a guy at the gym. They're like, have you noticed something within the last couple of weeks, maybe the last week, something shifted and being different? I'm like, yes, actually, it's been going on for quite some time if people are aware to it. One of those being, and we didn't talk about this necessarily this morning, but with so many other entrepreneurs, especially those that are strong in their faith and love the Lord, God is doing something so mighty in the marketplace, meaning how you earn an income shouldn't just be, let me just check off the box, get in, get out, and move on. It's
Right.
how can I show up and be an example? When things do get hard, do I get frustrated? Do I get angry, upset? Or do I say, okay, let me figure out a solution? When somebody doesn't show up to a meeting, do you have grace? How are you operating to show people love, grace, mercy, and how you can serve them?
Right.
Especially in business, people get very much like, yes, I'm there to serve others, but you're also there to serve me. So things need to go right. And if they go wrong, oh my gosh. And it's almost like an entitlement issue.
Yeah.
But in this marketplace ministry movement, it's God being just so present in what it is that you do that people can see him through you. That's really what it is, being the hands and feet in what you do for a living. And this is where we really believe, I do, and I've talked to so many people, this is the next biggest place of revival is in the marketplace.
That's so powerful because for about 8-9 months now, I'm going to use the word preaching. I've been preaching
Yes,
that, that we're expecting a mighty, mighty revival. There's just something that is sitting within my spirit. The Holy Spirit just keeps saying to me, a revival is about to break out. And I really believe that. And as you said that, that really just hit home for me because I feel like the Lord is doing something in this season. Probably about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, I had a client of mine. She said to me, Coach, you are so open with your faith. Like you're out there with your faith. People in social, they can know that you're a child of God. And she just didn't know how to align this with business because for her, she thought these were two separate things. But my advice to her was basically this. Your business is an extension of who you are. And if you are a child of God, a big part of who you are is you being a child of God.
Yes, amen.
There is no separation with the two. In fact, I feel this is something you embrace because when you are a true child of God, not just somebody that goes to church or just says it to say it, but when you're a true child of God, you operate differently, especially as it relates to integrity. So when people work with you, they know that you bring this to the table. There are certain things that you should, as a child of God, bring to the table. And so I think this whole marketplace and ministry coming together is just such a phenomenal thing. But it's not very difficult to align these two things together because, again, you're bringing your full self. And all of you, a big part of you is you being a child of God. Now, Molly, I saw a video that you shared a few days ago, and seemingly you said you drove out to a spot where you want to move in that area, and you went and you got the soil on your hands and you prayed over the area, and you're like, Lord, I want to live in this space right here, and you called it faith dirt.
Yes. Yes.
I thought that was so awesome. That was so neat. Like, oh, I should use that. Faith dirt, right? Tell us a little bit about that experience, what you did and why you did it, and the significance of that.
Well, one of the things when it was totally the Lord that gave me this word, like faith dirt, and people are like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? But let's be honest, you do have to get a little dirty. Having faith isn't always super squeaky clean. Like, it takes, ups and downs, bumps and bruises in order to really believe what you believe, as it should. Otherwise, it's not really faith at all. So there is an area that's close by that I just know every time I close my eyes, I'm like, I just know we're going to own land in this area. And then I just heard it was 5:30 in the morning. I heard the Lord say, go to this area, specific spot, close my eyes. He showed me the exact location, get down in the dirt, put your hands down and pray over the land. Now, I would love it to be this location, definitely this city. I feel like we are supposed to. However, I have faith no matter what. If it's in that spot, in that city, no matter what, it's the faith of everything as of right now. A lot of things could be pointing against that. Like, that's not going to happen. But my faith is bigger than that. Sometimes it takes us getting dirty. Why would we put our hands on the ground in the dirt? That sounds crazy. Why would we have big faith like that? That sounds crazy. But what's amazing is that it shows people, you know what? I'm okay with looking crazy and getting a little dirty. And then you get to see on the other end, because I'm not saying I know exactly what's going to happen. Back in the day, I used to be like, no, I'm definitely not going to talk about that outwardly because I don't want to look like a fool. Right now, this season of my life and forevermore, I could care less what I look like, because if God's calling me to do something, he has a plan, whether it's 6 months or 6 years from now, to be able to utilize that moment. So we have to get dirty sometimes. And then people are like, oh my gosh, faith dirt, that's so good. And so I'm like, yes, where can you go get your hands dirty in future belief, knowing and thanking God that it's already done? And letting people know, you know what, I can do it too. And that's really what it's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Faith is, as we know as believers, and even if you're not a believer, right? If you are going to do anything and you're going to accomplish anything, faith is a requirement. It is necessary. It's seeing that thing and believing that thing is going to happen before it does. That's the bottom line of faith. And as the Bible tells us in Hebrews, faith is a substance. When I think about that, it's literally a thing. It's a substance, the word says, right? And it's necessary for us to achieve those things that we want to achieve. It's interesting, but I came across that video of yours. It's interesting because my son and I just did something very similar, right? Yeah, we did something very similar. Yes. So similar to yourself, I am in the process now. I'm saying dream house. It's dream house time for a sister, right?
Yes.
I'm always in my mind. I know what I want it to look like because I can see it. I don't have to close my eyes to see it. It's right there. And so, and of course, visualization, all of these things, very important. You have to be able to first see the thing before you can hold it in your hand tangibly, right? So I know what I want it to look like. I know that a girl is supposed to be looking at the beautiful Jamaican Ocean.
Yes.
Right? Yes. And so that's what I envisioned. And I remember we were heading on a trip. My son, my church, we were traveling. And I drove past this property. And I remember seeing 26 acres. And I'm like, okay, I could work with that, right? And I said, I'm going to drive back here to take a look at it, stand on it, walk on it, be on it. And it's interesting because it's within the vicinity that I told myself I want to build in this area.
Mm.
Interestingly, when I drove past and I saw it, I'm like, I gotta come back and check this out. So one day after church, I grabbed my son. I'm like, let's go. We're going to take a drive up to this property and we're going to take a look. A matter of fact, I was trying to go there before, but it started to rain. And I said, nah, we're not going to go today because I want to walk on my land.
Yeah, sunshine and all.
I want to walk on my land, right? So one Sunday after church, my son and I, we drive out to this property. And it's way more than I thought it was. It's not 26 acres, but 268
Ooh.
acres of land. And I'm like, Jesus, I could sit in this. I'm like, yes, I could get into real estate, Lord. You know a sister doesn't mind, right? And so I just fell in love with the property. The moment I parked my car, I stepped out, I started walking, and I started dancing like, this is my land, this is my, it was so crazy. And my son is looking at me, and like, son, you better dance too, because this is your land too.
You better get with it, come on.
Yes, but that's what it requires.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being thankful even before you see it. It's a sense of knowing even before you get there, even before it touches your hand, you have to know. It's like it's a knowing.
Mm-hmm.
It goes beyond even what some people say believe. It's no a knowing. You just know. That's what it requires, and it's just so amazing that when you spend time in the Word, and the word starts to influence the way you think. Jump into that for a minute. Let me hear your take on that.
This is just so good. I just love hearing these stories because it's like, it looks so foolish, but it's not. And it's like the opposite. It's like joy sparks, or it's just fanning the flame that's already there. And so many people need to see that. But first and foremost, it's us and it's our relationship with the Lord. And then outside of that, as bystanders of people watching, following all the above, they're like, what are they doing? You know, what's happening? But like you said, when you spend more time in the Word and in God's presence and you allow him to speak to you, I used to be very like, okay, Lord, you said this, so it must be in that. Very like black and white. And I remember the last property that I prayed over, it was like a homestead property out here. And in California, homestead's like, 2 acres, right? In other places, it can be hundreds of acres. But hey, where we are, we don't have that much land that's, up for grabs. So when I prayed over that, I was like, okay, it must be this, it must be this, it must be this. And then the house went up for sale. And then I had this process. I'm like, Lord, like I thought I drove in front of that house probably, I don't even know, like dozens of times. They're like, who is this girl that keeps driving in front of our house, like slow and weird, but at the same, because I'd put my hand out and I'd pray. Yeah. And then it hit me, and it's like, it's what it represents. It even said on the listing, like generational property. It's what it represents. It's the land. It's all the things you can do with it. So he opened up the possibilities through this listing rather than me being so locked in that it was this listing in this place. Yeah, and that's the part that I think is even more powerful, is we get so like, oh, it's going to be A and B. No. Like it could be A and Y, right? Like there's a lot in between, but you just have to be flexible, but allow him to do his process. It's not always the end result. It's the process in the becoming, in the joy that overflows. And even just in the waiting, right? Like in the waiting, as much as we don't want to wait, and trust me, I do not like waiting most of the time. Had to become a lot more patient. And in that process, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do next? How do you want me to be? What do you want me to see? How do you want me to learn? How do you want me to heal? Because clearly there are steps that still need to happen before that comes into fruition. But he will never do something before his time. And we should rejoice in that, because you don't want something to like come into your hands and then it slips through and then you didn't have it for longer than you should have. And so many people are like, I just rather have it now. And it's like, no, like it's like somebody, and I'll kind of end the point on this. It's like somebody winning the lottery. Here in the States, you can have the lottery, say it's like $500 million, right? Like, whoa. Well, if that person doesn't have a good money mindset, they're going to be worse off with that money than they were with the money, because they're going to get into a lot of the wrong things. They're going to attract the wrong people unless they know how to steward it. You do not want something that you like before you're ready to know how to steward it. You really don't. Yes. And I've learned that the hard way many times. So now I know, and I have a lot more patience about it.
Yes. You just jumped into some amazing pointers right there. Man, where do I even start?
Anywhere, pick a point.
Yes. But you spoke about stewardship, and this for me is one of my favorite things to talk about from a biblical success principle standpoint.
Mm,
And I think a lot of us, we don't spend enough time to really understand that that is what we do. We steward the gifts, we steward the resources. One of my favorite verses comes from Colossians 3, and I'm going to tie these 2 points together to make it make sense. But in Colossians 3, it talks about doing everything we do with our whole hearts as working for the Lord and not for human masters. And that for me takes me back to the concept of stewardship. What he gives me to do is to do it with a sense of excellence. And it takes me back to that as well. Excellence. Whatever you are doing, no matter how simple the task may be, is to approach it with a sense of excellence.
mm-hmm.
And that for me, I believe, has been one of those factors that has helped me to, over time in business, be able to differentiate myself from other people. Because when you do something, my latest client that I just took on, as she logged into the resources, she was like, Coach, this is amazing stuff. Because she's been in other programs, some more expensive than mine. And she's like, Coach, what you have here, before I even dived in, wow, wow, wow. And she's going on and she's going on and on and on. But when you sprinkle a sense of excellence in all that you do, it's that you just set a standard for yourself. Not in a selfie kind of way, but in a sense of representing God. Because God is a God of excellence, and he calls us to that. He calls us to be our full selves, our best selves. And at different stages, of course, in your life, your sense of excellence is going to vary. I look back at stuff I did years ago, right? Content I did years ago. I'm like, oh my God. Right? But back then, I was giving it my best then. Yes. And as you keep working on your craft, which takes us even to another scripture that tells us about sharpening the iron. As you continue to sharpen that sword, you continue to work on those skill sets, then you just keep getting better and better and better and better. So let's talk about that concept, stewardship, just for a little bit.
Yes.
And I remember you did this program. What was that program that I did with you again?
Was it Radiant Leadership Academy?
Radiant Leadership. I remember you looked at stewardship one week, and I thought that was so deep. And so you have a beautiful layout in terms of your thought process around this. But just tell us a bit about your philosophy around this concept, stewardship.
Well, it's even from when you took that academy to, now, which has been, I'm not really sure how long it's been, maybe at least been a year, probably more than that. There was a time where I actually did a 30 days of lives of going into different aspects of stewardship, because most people think it's money. However, it's like mind. It is like, it's how you steward literally everything, like your physical possessions, your relationships, your mind, your business, literally everything. And I got to like digging into topics. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of this, but it was just one of those that I just know people need to hear. There's so much more than just money you need to steward. Specifically in the Radiant Leadership Academy, it does talk about finances, but many of us, whether it's finances or other, but let's just talk about money for a second. We always want more, but how are we stewarding what we have? How are we stewarding the debt that we have, if we have that? How are we stewarding, even the things that we purchase? Are we just purchasing off a whim, emotional purchasing, or is it thoughtful? Are we being too frugal because we're scared we don't have enough? Or are we just like frivolous spending and we have packages coming to the door every day? Like, what are we doing to even, on top of that, like you go from stewardship to even investing, to have things working for you on your behalf, where you're not always working for it. So it's a lot of people think it's just information of the wealthy, when it's literally biblical principles. Like God talks about it all the time. And I love that you bring up excellence, because you do such a great job, Chris, of just embodying excellence. And that's why I know we get along so well, because we talk about it even before we click live. Like we're organized, we're sharp, we're on it. We do have a lot of different things that we do, but we do everything with what we have in excellence at the time that we're doing it, because we know God gave this to us to steward. And so why would we represent him any less than excellent? And, you know, of course we're human, we're not going to be perfect, but he knows our heart of, I'm going to give it my all, everything that I have. Show me the next step and what that looks like. And I just hope and pray that people can really understand that principle, because the pressure actually does lift. Not to say stress can't come and it can get a little, you know, crazy sometimes, but the pressure lifts of like, okay, Lord, well, let me know what's next. And until I know where I'm going next and I'm really clear, yes, I have certain objectives I need to meet, but I'm not going to make these big decisions without you. So I don't need the pressure of doing this, that, the other thing, because the world's putting on the pressure. It's, you are going to lead me when it's time. And most of the time we want it to be time sooner than when he alive, most of the time. And it's like, I feel like most of the time I'm in a waiting game, but he knows what needs to come out, what needs to be purified in order to give you what your heart desires.
Yes. You went back to a point that I was going to go back to, that concept of waiting. We don't like to wait, don't we? We certainly don't like to wait. We hate it, but it is a required part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
I remember an analogy I used years ago. At that time, my son and I, we were still living in a studio. Like, I was just really starting out in business. But I remember him going on the outside and he picked up this stick and he asked me to lend him the knife so that he could carve it. But he was about 4 or 5. So there's no way I'm giving him a knife to be carving anything. But then as that experience happened, I remember just thinking about that being related to us in our processing. If you give something to someone before it is time, you can destroy them. And I thought about, what if I gave my son this knife and this boy just does something crazy, damages himself? It's me that should be blamed, because I should know better. I know he's not at that level of maturity yet. God, in his infinite wisdom, he knows our level of maturity. And as you said, there are certain things that he needs to work on in us first before he releases certain things to us. And so it's just being comfortable in our state of waiting. Yeah. Just being in a good state mentally, where you're like, God, I know that you are actively working on this case, whatever the case is that you have presented to him. And you are just releasing that to him and trusting that he knows what he's doing, because he does. He really, really does know what he's doing. You mentioned another point just now. You talk about the pressure of the world. And that takes me down the thought of casting our cares on him. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we find in business. You start a business, things may not be going as you want it to go. And that's common, right? Especially, especially when you're just starting out and everything starts to feel heavy. And the responsibilities, they are knocking at you because they don't disappear because things aren't happening. They're still there. And if we're not careful, we become so overwhelmed, we become so frustrated that we neglect the vision that he's given to us. So we walk away from the vision that he's given to us. And so it's learning to do as the word tells us to do, to cast our cares and our burdens upon him. And I think there is something just so profound. And I think it comes a lot with spiritual maturity as well. When you get to this place where you really trust the word, you trust God. It doesn't matter what is happening. And this is something I've found happening with myself. Things could be going haywire. And people believe that once you get to a certain level, then you're all set. It is not so.
Not Not at all.
No, it is not so. Sometimes things just go haywire. And I found that when I go to a haywire situation, I don't deal with it how I used to. I'm just very calm. I'm always just very calm. But because I spend a lot of time in the word. So let's talk about that for a little bit. For someone who right now may be going through a situation that is not how they really want it to be, it's not ideal, and they do want to cast their cares. They don't even know, how do I even do that? How do I even release? How do I approach this? Let's talk about that for a little bit. Let me hear your take on this for a little.
I found the first thing that comes up is prayer, but maybe not in the way that you think. Most people, when they think of prayer, to be honest, they may not say this out loud, but this is real. They use God as like a genie in a wishing well. Okay, plunk. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get a return. Plunk. Okay, I'm gonna rub the little lamp. Plunk. Like I'm gonna rub the Bible, and poof, here he comes.
Yes.
No, like he is not a wishing well. Like that is not how it goes. Like you're only going to him to get something. Now, it doesn't mean you can't cast your care. So what you're saying is, yes, he wants to take your burdens. There's only so much that we can control. And when we learn, okay, that is out of my control. There's nothing I can do. I'm doing everything in my power to be in the word, to be in his presence, which will give you the peace that you're looking for. And it may take time for that to really settle, but it's worth it. And you're praying like, Lord, take this from me. Show me what's next. You're not just praying, hey, take this from me, period. Show me what's next. Show me what you want me to do. Like, you're not just dumping it off and being like, okay, my job here is done. Oh, no. You're just giving something to him that he automatically is like, give it to me. I'll take care of it because it's already in my control anyways and not yours. Yes. And then when it comes to praying, here's what I really found out. When I actually started praying for other things and other people, and he already knows the desires of my heart and what I need, like so many things started to shift and change. It really did. And even a friend of mine got me this book, and it actually, it's pretty, prayers is all it says is prayers, but it's prayers for so many different things, from praying over government officials or deliverance or family members or traveling. I mean, literally anything. And it's spelt out. And a lot of people, I've come to find out, I don't know what to say when it comes to praying. But it's like, okay, there's a book, but even better is like, Lord, teach me how to pray. Teach me what to say so I can be able to, bring these other people before you, because we get so consumed with our own stuff of I need, blah. And yes, we do.
Yes.
When I started praying for other people, interceding for other people, other movements, other things, it really started to shift how things started to show up in my life. Because yes, God knows. But I didn't come off as, and I'll be honest, like I used to come off as really whiny, being like, Lord, and I'm just like, eventually I'm like, I'm annoying. I was like, how does God deal with that? But he doesn't look at us like that. I looked at me like that after a while. I was like, this is crazy. So I shifted my heart posture of like, I know you know what I need. Show me what's next. Who can I pray for? And when my heart actually shifted, who could I pray for? And he was like, okay, I know that you mean it now. You're not just saying it. I literally cannot get enough. I cannot wait for somebody to tell me, hey, this is how you can pray for me. And like, you actually do it. And you're actually interceding for them and warring for them on their behalf. And that may sound like a foreign language to people, but at the end of the day, there are those people out there that don't know you, that are praying for you or don't know you well, but they know what prayer can do. It's not a last minute resource. It's not like a, 11:59 call out, like, Lord, save me. Now we're going to do that anyways, of course. It is something where we are sowing and reaping way more than we ever could, because our prayers are heard and things are moving on our behalf that we don't even know about. That is what I like to encourage people with, because when you start praying about other people and seeing other people and how you can, just be hope for them or be something, it gets you to look at your problems and be like, okay, yes, they're still there, but they're a whole lot less than my brain's not working overtime to magnify. Here's everything that's going wrong. You're starting to see life in a different way. So I hope that makes sense for people. That really shifted everything for me. And it doesn't mean I don't have things that come up and stresses and wants and desires and, all the things, but I do it differently, where it's like, okay, Lord, you know that. And where would you like me to go from here? Who do you want me to pray for? What's next? Or even, how can I just be? Sometimes it's not even doing anything. It's just being that daughter or son of the King and being in his presence and just receiving, which I know, I'm still working on that one. Can be very hard. Very hard.
Yes. That's so beautiful. Wow. Man, that was a beautiful mouthful right there. You released like just so many powerful nuggets just now. Interestingly, I was having a conversation just recently about us treating God like he is a genie. And it goes back to something you said earlier when you just started. It's that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's really spending time to building a true relationship with God, because the word tells us that he knows our needs, he knows our wants way before we could utter them. And so we don't have to be as me and whiny about stuff, because he already knows the desires of our hearts. He hears our secret thoughts. He knows what we need before we say it to him, and all of these amazing things. But when we go to God just because we want things, that's not a good relationship. I'm always thinking about my relationship with God as I think about my relationship with my son. That's the kind of analogy I use.
Yes.
Or think about it in terms of a parent-child relationship. There is no parent, absolutely none, that wants to be treated like just give me, give me, give me, give me.
Mm-hmm.
We want an intimate relationship with our children. We want to know them. We want to have conversations with them. We want to, how was your day? Is there any girl that you like? Is there any boy that, we want to have those little intimate conversations, and just know who they are as a person, and just be there, be present. God wants the same thing with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just going to him when something goes haywire, or Lord, I need a raise, or we want a new car, or we want something. No, Lord, I need a husband now.
Yes, we're still praying for that.
Right? So we don't wait until it's a one situation, but we talk to him about just about every little thing. One of the things that has become consistent for me in the last few months is I wake up just talking to him. That's like one of the first things that just automatically starts happening for the last few months. I just wake up and I just start saying the Lord, and we're just having a whole conversation about different things. I have a church sister, and she's always talking to God about everything. And I was like, I want that. And whenever I see something that I admire, I do it myself. And so I just said, I'm going to start doing that too. I'm just going to start talking to God about just random stuff, just talking. And so when I wake up for the last few months, I just start talking to him. I just lay in bed for a little bit, and I just start having conversation about random stuff. And I find that the Holy Spirit and I today, we have just such a beautiful relationship. He just tells me stuff that I need to know, and he just aligns things. I'm like, mwah, mwah, mwah. Holy Spirit, you're so beautiful. You're so amazing. And I just love on him, right? I just really love on him because he's absolutely remarkable. You said something just now as well. And when you spoke about the heart posture, I think we're gonna looking at time, and I don't want to be too long, but let's just look at this briefly. You mentioned the heart posture, and I started thinking about idolatry. A few months ago, we did a topic in Sunday school looking at idolatry, and even about the concept of wealth, how Christians view money. And this is a big topic for me. So we could go on and on and on here, because I feel that so many of us have a very bad relationship with money, with the concept of wealth. And even in Sunday school, I'm always having to correct their philosophies. They say some stuff and I'm like, reject.
Yes, no.
So I hear it from the pulpit. You hear stuff, you are amongst others, and you hear stuff, and you recognize there are some negative philosophies and mindset around wealth and around money. And there's a lot that needs to be corrected where this is concerned. But as we were looking at the topic of idolatry, I remember them talking about money becoming an idol. And yes, money can become an idol. Your child can become an idol. Your business can become an idol. Your husband can become an idol. An idol is pretty much anything that you put at a greater priority to God, that you lift above him, that you prioritize over him. But as we were talking about the concept of wealth and it being an idol and all of that, I know where they're coming from. But I know also the limiting belief system that's attached to that conversation. And I remember saying to them, the issue is not having money, or the issue is not wealth, it's about your heart posture. So let's talk about that for a little bit, that concept of the heart posture as it relates to wealth, as it relates to money.
I mean, you kind of touched on this a little bit. When you think about the things that you think of first, like you wake up in the morning, what are the first things that you think about? Most of the time for people, for business people, let's take, for example, it could be money, could be work, what's on my to-do list, all of that. There are things that are like, I'm putting these worries above God. And if you've ever heard this phrase, worrying is basically praying for something that you really don't want.
Yeah.
So stop worrying, right? Like stop worrying like that wreaks havoc on your health and all the things. And you're just focusing on things as it comes, you will deal with it and do it in excellence, right? Just like we talked about when we started this, like internet went out, we started late, whatever. We just rolled with the punches and here we are. Like we're not fretting, we're not stressing. It's like, okay, we'll do what we can. However, back to the idolatry thing, when it comes to money, so many people, because when money comes in the hands of people, it can change people. It really can. And really understanding where's my heart posture around it, what matters. Now, mid-20s, Molly, I had sticky notes all over my mirror of all these things like a jet and all these properties and all these big ideas that were basically going to make me look good. And sure, some of them had a good impact and I would cover it with, for the sake of impact, I want these things. But deep down, it was a security issue. Deep down, it was, I want to be able to create and make things so I don't have to worry and struggle. And whatever it was, it's a root issue as to why do you need money? Did you not have it? Are there things that you want? Is it really about the things? Is it trying to keep up with people? I live in a very affluent area and people are always dripped in all of the fancy stuff, right? And they show off with their plastic surgery and their Botox and their Louis this and their brands that, whatever, the cars that they drive. And I'm like, what is your soul actually saying? Some of those people are healed people and they just like nice things. That's amazing. I know a lot of them. Most people are covering up of, if you see my stuff, you'll know that I'm of importance. I don't have to see your stuff. Your stuff actually like, it actually like reeks of, hey, I have some insecurities unless you're somebody that wants a real conversation. And so people get it so twisted. So what the church has done is, well, money is just evil because it's turned so many people. Let's just stay away from it. Let's just not have it. But that's actually, in my opinion, even worse because now you're struggling living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet. How am I going to do this? How can I enjoy? And how can I even have time to listen to God? I don't have time because I'm struggling and I need to go make something happen.
Yeah.
There is a great middle ground, but it's always going to the Lord being like, what do you want from me? Show me what needs to be revealed. Show me what needs to be healed. And let's do this together. And we're also in a time and space where there is a great like wealth reset happening, where there is a lot of wealth transferring in the hands of kingdom-minded men and women. And we need to make more money. For the simple fact is, it takes money to create things and help people. And all the impact that you want to do, you can't do it for free. So you want people at the helm that have a lot of money to be those good-hearted, like, Lord, this isn't mine, it's yours. This isn't mine, it's yours. And I know some very wealthy kingdom-minded people, very wealthy. And they're just like, how can I give? How can I serve? What does this look like? They're very smart. They're very like, they're giving, they're loving. They're great people. They just, God just had that plan for them and they went through whatever they went through. But we just see the Louis Vuitton bag that's on her arm. We're like, oh, must be nice. No. Sis had to do something to get there. So let's ask more questions of what did you do to get there? And then you'll actually see the fruit coming out of their mouth. Am I hiding behind this bag? Am I hiding behind these things? Or am I actually just somebody who likes nice things, which, hey, more power to you. I get it.
Yes.
So I hope that makes sense for somebody. It's not evil. It's how you view it and why you think you need it. We do need it, but usually there's an insecurity. There's a root somewhere of something from our childhood, somewhere deeper. And let's be honest, it all stems from somewhere. It didn't just pop up one day.
Yes.
And I'll end with this and say, I know my husband and I personally have had to break off so much generational junk, if you will, when it comes to money, from stuff from his bloodline, from mine. And it was a war zone. It got bloody. It got messy. It was crazy. But I'm so glad, because now that doesn't get to be passed on to our family.
Yes.
But you might be that one that needs to war of like, you know what? How's this working out for me so far? It's not. Okay, so what do we need to do? And who do we need to be around? People like Chris, people like myself, people that want to speak life into you and help you elevate to where God wants you to be, which isn't struggling paycheck to paycheck. And it isn't hiding behind all your things, which really don't matter because it's not going with you anyways when you die.
Yeah. Absolutely. Powerful stuff. I think this is a moment where we need a whole applaud. Like, this is where the music plays and
oh my gosh. I could say the same about you. Lots of wisdom being dropped on here. It's all him.
Absolutely. For sure. Like, everything you said throughout this entire discussion has just been fire bombs. Literally fire bombs. But yes, you said just now, and I was having this conversation just yesterday while I was at my son's school. There was a parent who was sharing something about a sister of hers, who, let's just say, she's trying to keep up with the Joneses. She is not financially sound at all. She even borrows and begs to be able to buy certain things to make herself and her child appear as though they have more than they do. And that's an insecurity issue. And you spoke to that just now. Why do I need these things? And a lot of us, we've had to do a lot of work on ourselves. A girl had to do. And in some instances, we're still working on ourselves constantly, daily. But there oftentimes the reasons why we want certain things, it's not for quote unquote so much the right reasons. Right. And that's why we have to now check our heart posture. What's the motive behind this? Because the thing with the Lord is that He's the one that sees those hidden motives. And for me, that was always one of my earlier prayers. Lord, help me to check my motives and my intentions, because I want my motives, I want my heart to be pure. I don't want to come from the wrong space. I don't want to go after certain things for the wrong reasons. And I know, starting out, hey, I had some shady reasons. When I was just starting out, some of my reasons were not the absolute best, but over time, as you work on yourself and you build that relationship with the Lord, as you evolve as a person, as you evolve as a believer, there should be some changes, some transformation that happens. You don't come to the Lord and you're intentional about building a relationship with Him and remain the same. It just does not happen. So Molly, this was a firebomb discussion. But before we go, I
was like, wait, I can do the emoji. It's been waiting. Here we are.
Absolutely. But before we go, Molly, tell us, where can we connect with you? For someone watching and they've been getting amazing value from you, where can they connect with you? And also, I must also share with the listeners that, or the watchers, that you and your organization, you launched KTC, a few months ago. And this is all about the world of travel. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in that space.
Yes. Well, Chris, I just have to say, I love this value-driven conversation. What I'll share about KTC is a great vehicle for people, which is amazing. But you know what? You know what's even better is understanding the people that you're getting into business with and building with people who have substance. And that's what you heard today. It's like, whether it's Chris or myself, it's like you want to know these people, because I could have come on here being like, oh my gosh, here's a KTC, it's amazing. And I'll tell you some of the amazing perks, because it is. But it's providing opportunity, especially in the areas of stewardship, exploring the world, being able to create more income for yourself so you can have more of the yeses in your life that you actually want to give, rather than let me consult with my bank account. And you're doing it inside of a company that is covered in prayer, that is kingdom minded, and that matters. So I just want to say thank you for this opportunity, because this has been super fun. And obviously we can rabbit trail and go on so many different tangents, but so Holy Spirit led. And those are the conversations that people need to hear. And those are the ones that I love to have literally all day long. But anyways, in regards to KTC, so this is something that we actually, yes, we brought out earlier this year here in 2025. And it's just grown into something so beautiful where, when you think about starting the year, the middle, summertime, the end of the year, where am I going to travel? What do I want to go see? What do I want to experience? But really these days, like, you almost have to open up a whole nother credit card. You have to be wealthy to travel. Like, it costs a lot. It really does. And so we were like, how can we provide something where, hey, we all want to travel too, but it doesn't break the bank? And so inside of this Kingdom Travel Club, KTC, there's a customer option, there's a member option. So depending on what route you want to go, depending on which route, you're actually going to get 1 to 2 trips included into your membership, which is amazing. One definitely being a cruise that you get included, but you're getting wholesale pricing. You are earning inside of this platform on what are called travel coins every time you book. So you're booking, you're earning coins, which you can use towards discounted travel. You have done for you marketing for those that want the business side. And let's be honest, like, what's more fun if you're building something in the pockets of your time because you want that freedom to be able to have a trip that's included, go get discounted travel, eventually free travel, but then also being able to earn, and you're building something that is exciting. Travel is exciting. The world is a beautiful place. It's God's playground of like, hey, here are all these beautiful places that I created. We would love to go see them, but it's usually time or money. But I will tell you, with discounts like this, you are going to find the time and you will have the money and you're going to want to go, but you're in an environment that, yes, travel is sexy, it's attractive, it's fun. There's so many great places to go. But we also even have curated trips as a company where you get to be on some of these trips if you want to go with mission-minded people. It's so much bigger than them. Travel is not just them, but it's the memories they get to create, the people they get to create it with, that they get to hold forever. And I feel like so many of those memories people don't get to make anymore because it comes down to a cost factor. So we've eliminated that. You can earn, you can travel, and you get trips that are included. So we're just very passionate about that. And it's been a blessing to be able to see people be able to operate in that all over the world. It's a global opportunity. And we're just very excited about it. So thanks for letting me share.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm listening. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. All check, of it. Yes. Like check. You're checking all the pointers right there for sure. So if you're watching and you want to travel, you want to be able to earn points. You're pretty much earning for traveling. That's some amazing stuff right there. Amazing discounts for traveling. Then definitely you want to get in touch with Molly and she'll be able to share more details on that. So where can they connect with you?
I mean, I am on all the social media platforms. Molly Gomez on Facebook, Molly Trotter, which is my maiden name, on Instagram, LinkedIn. I mean, you name it, like, just message me. And I always check my hidden folders because I always find, people that will see me on shows or different things. And just share with me, like, what value did you get from this? Like, what did Chris say? What value did you get? What are you interested in? Don't be shy, reach out. I promise I don't bite. The first part about me is I just want to get to know you and what is it that you want to create? Yeah. When's the last time somebody asked you that? What do you actually want to create? Like, I want to know what's in it for you because I want to fan that flame, because that is what's going to help create the life that you want and the lives that you're meant to impact through the memories or the business or all the above. So find me, connect with me. I would love to be able to talk with you. And again, Chris, thank you so much for having me on today. This has been so much fun.
Yes. I had an amazing time. And like you said, we could keep going.
Hours.
Yeah, because this was just such a powerful discussion. There's so much more that we could discuss. But hey, we have to get out of here at some point. All good things do have to come to an end at some point. Molly, it was a pleasure being able to share this space with you this morning, no, this afternoon, still morning where you are, no afternoon for me, but phenomenal discussion. I know when I watch this all over again, I'm just going to be getting all these value bombs all over again. So I'm excited to rewatch this. If you are just watching, if you're popping in and you are not here live with us, I know some persons are watching live, but for those who are just watching, let us know, what did you take away? What value pointers did you take away that really sat home for you? And like Molly said, what do you want to create? I thought that was beautiful. That's something that I'm interested to hear as well, because we're excited to help you along the journey. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you work with me or you work with Molly. When you're in the kingdom, you just want to pour into people. I'm always saying this, I want to see us all win. Because why not? Because when good people do well, we do more good in the world. And the world definitely needs that. And so I'm excited about you listening to this vidcast and you getting amazing value from this. And I can't wait to hear from you in the comments what your takeaway has been. Thank you so much for popping in here. And Molly, thank you again for popping in and for sharing. Do you have any final word that you want to leave us with?
I would just leave you with that same question. What do you want to create? Do not walk away from this without writing that down and at least an answer of some sort, because it'll be easy for us to move on to the next thing. But this is the thing, like, ask yourself and really dig deep into that. And so, like she said, whoever is there to assist you, we all win because we're all part of the body. We're all kingdoms. So Chris, thank you so much for having me on. So appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. So, ladies, gentlemen, again, thank you for being with us here today. We appreciate your time. And this is Coach Chris saying to you, write your own destiny. Bye until.